Okay, Erev Tov everyone. We are on Daf Nun Aleph Amud Bet at the bottom, 51b at the bottom Mishnah. Hanoder mina chalav. A person says, I make a promise, I'm not drinking any more milk. Mutar bekum. He is allowed to have kum. Kum is basically what we call today whey. As the Ran says, 3 lines up from the bottom of the Ran, kum hainu mayim hayotzim min hachalav. The Korean siro. It's called siro, maybe syrup, but water that comes out of the milk. So it seems like when you milk, there is part water and part actual milk, and that is called whey. And when a person says, I don't want to drink milk, but he's allowed to drink the whey. Rav Yossi oser. Rav Yossi says, nope, that is included, and that is asur. Rav Yossi says that's also included in the milk. The Mishnah continues, min hakum mutar bechalav. A person says, I don't want to drink any kum, he's allowed to drink milk. And that, it seems like, Rav Yossi agrees to. Let's take a look at the Ran. Let's take a look where we left off in the Ran. 3 lines up from the bottom. Rav Yossi oser. The Gemara is going to explain why Rav Yossi said it's asur. All right, Oded.
I never made it home. I'm coming straight from work.
Tzaddik.
He's joining us.
We got the big leaguer here. We got the big leaguer here. Yes, the Nishmat and Uri ben Menashe. So we just started, and basically a person says, I don't want to make, he makes a promise, he doesn't want to have any more promise from milk. He's allowed to drink whey, which is like the water of the milk. And then Rav Yossi says it's asur. Rav Yossi says it's asur. Minakum mutar bechalav. A person says, I don't want to have kum. He's allowed to have the milk. So on that, the Ran says, 2 lines up from the bottom, minakum mutar bechalav. The Mishnah debatnitin, according to the wording of the Mishnah, mashma, you could infer that Rav Yossi nami modeh beha, that he also agrees to this. That if a person says, I don't want to have kum, he's allowed to have milk. When we write the Gemara, the Gemara is going to explain this explanation of Rav Yossi. Okay, so that's milk and whey. Abba Shaul Omer. Abba Shaul says, back to the Mishnah, bottom line of the Mishnah. Hanoder min hagvina asur ba ben melucha vetafla. The person says, I don't want to have cheese. He is not allowed to have any type of cheese, be it if the cheese is salty or if the cheese is not salty. Any cheese. Next, hanoder min basar. The person says, I don't want to have any more basar. Mutar berotev ubekipa. He's allowed to have the juice of a meat dish and the kippah. Let's see what the Ran says about kippah. Top line, Nun Bet Amud Aleph. Mutar berotev ubekipa. Kippah hanu dak shel basar sheyored leshulek tira. The kippah is the small pieces of meat that are at the bottom of the pot. So there's tiny little strands of meat. So that is called kippah. So the person says, I don't want to have any more meat. He's allowed to have the juice. He's allowed to have the sauce, and he's allowed to have the kippah.
Like, sometimes we say, I don't want any more meat, or I don't want any more of this, but we mean just for the dinner.
Okay. So when I say the guy's making a promise, I'm making a promise, I'm not having any more meat.
I'm a vegan.
Yeah, I guess.
Poor kid.
But yeah, exactly. So
pescatarian.
Yeah, so when he makes that promise, then he's still though allowed to have rotiv and kippah. Rav Yehuda oser. Rav Yehuda says no, that's asur. That is included in meat. Amar Rav Yehuda, and Rav Yehuda says a story to back himself up. Maaseh, there's a story. Ve'asar alenu Rabbi Tarfon bebetzim shenitbashlu imo. There was a story, a person said, I don't want to have any more meat. And Rabbi Tarfon says, not only can you not have any meat, you can't even have the eggs that are cooked with the meat. Exactly. You can't even have the eggs that are cooked with the meat. So what's the reason? Amrulo Kena davar. 1 second. Okay, we'll just pause there for a second. So Rabbi Tarfon says you can't even have the eggs of the meat. So that is a backup, a proofer of Yehuda. Yehuda says when a person says, "I don't want to have any, I can't. I'm making a promise, no more meat." So the Mishnah, the Tanakama says you're allowed to have the sauce and you're allowed to have the little strands of meat at the bottom. Yehuda says no, that's also included. It's also asur. What's Yehuda's backup? He has a story. The Rabbi Tarfon says even the eggs cooked with it, which seems like further removed from the actual little strands of meat or the actual sauce. So this is further removed. That is asur. So that means all the other pieces are also going to be asur.
So, but generally speaking, it's not prohibited.
What's
It's only
prohibited?
when you have a neder.
You're neder for
Yeah,
sure.
you're only
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
Nedarim.
That's what we're talking about neder. Exactly.
So it's a question because I always ask if you have eggs in their shell, and you just boil eggs in a meat pot, you can have those with like a hard-boiled egg boiled in a meat pot. You can have that with cheese, because as I understand, because doesn't absorb the meat. There's no bolea from the meat
Well,
pot.
it provided I don't know about that. I think it's
I didn't think so.
the
I think
big
you
pot.
do.
Yeah.
If the shell is intact, because I was told it's only Shabbat eggs in the dafina that are slow cooked, they really absorb the flavor if you have meat in the
No,
dafina.
once it gets to boiling point, it absorbs. The thing is though, is
Even in the shell?
even in the shell, it absorbs. But you could use it with cheese if the pot that you're using is over 24 hours. Not meat wasn't used. It's a meat pot, but it wasn't used in it for 24 hours. So now, so it absorbed spoiled taste meat, and according to Sfaradim, but that the water is parv, so it's and the egg is parv, so it's parv. That's it's called nat benat. That's nat bar nat. Nat is acronym for noten tam, bar noten tam. What gives taste? The son of what gives taste. Meaning, meat was cooked in a pot. Meat gave taste to the pot, and then later on, you cooked water in it. So then the taste went from the walls of the pot to the water. So that is a second degree. So that second degree is only not allowed to be eaten with cheese if the meat was cooked in that pot within 24 hours of the water.
But
never
doctor's case is different.
You never heard of that?
No, so you're basically saying if I have a pot that I use to make chicken soup with every Friday, right? And then I clean it Motzei Shabbat or Sunday morning.
Clean it, soap,
On
everything.
Wednesday.
And then on Wednesday, 3 days later, let's say, I boil water and whatever. I boil water. So you're basically saying the pot is now not a meat pot anymore?
No, not saying that. It is a meat pot.
But
if you cook parv in it,
If I put a
Think
parv
it-
soup, a split pea soup in it now,
right?
the way I grew up was I had to have that in a meat bowl.
So generally, we would like
Because
to
meat,
keep
it's,
right.
it's been cooked in a meat pot, so now it becomes part of a meat meal.
Category, yeah.
So I can't have a cheese sandwich with my split pea soup that was cooked, warmed up in my meat pot.
Well, you
That's-
can use two different
I think
plates
it
and have
should
your
be like
sandwich
that.
first.
So that's very good for extra precaution because if I don't keep track of did I use this within 24 hours or whatever it is, so that's good. I always this is meat, treat it as meat, whatever.
Right.
But technically, is if 24 hours have passed, then the meat that's absorbed in that pot is kind of called spoiled,
Okay.
and it gives a spoiled meat taste to your parv, and that you could have with dairy, not in the pot, but I could take it out of the pot. If let's say it's noodles, parv noodles, like that out of the
Right.
pot, and then add milk to it, and that's fine.
Is it
But-
like dairy acute
Sfaradim,
meat
Ashkenazim,
equipment?
that's what's called dairy equipment
equipment and meat
and
equipment?
meat equipment. That's
Is it something
called
like
that.
this? Like
Yeah, but now let's say you cook milk in that pot.
Yeah, I made mac and cheese in the pot.
If I make mac and cheese in a meat pot, even though the
You're
meat
done.
pot is 24 hours later,
Yeah.
You need to kosher it.
then you're done.
What does
Then-
that mean?
Meaning you're done like this.
It's no longer a meat pot.
No, what you need? It's a non kosher pot now
Yeah.
because you had hot meat, even though it was a year ago.
Sure.
It's still spoiled meat in there, and now you have cheese in there. So your pot has absorbed meat and milk that needs koshering,
I see.
and the actual food,
Okay.
if the food contents is 60 times the walls of the pot, So let's say you have a massive pot and a lot of stuff in that pot.
Well, usually
and
it's 60 times unless you put a very little bit.
Is it usually 60 times?
Usually anything you put in is 60 times the
Walls of the pot?
the walls of the
You're
pot.
saying the surface area of the pot.
Yeah.
Surface area.
Yeah, because you have content inside.
Yeah. The thickness of the walls of the pot.
Yeah, so
If-
if
okay.
you have anything more than a little bit,
It's
it's
60 times the amount? That's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's almost two.
It's volume to surface area you're talking.
yes, and the volume's a lot greater than the surface.
Depends on the size of the pot.
Yeah, the dimension. Yes, the diagram.
So-
I've never heard this thing.
So if you have 60 times against it, then your cheese thing will you can still eat it. But your pot's going to be no kosher.
Similar actual case.
well, you can still eat the cheese.
You can eat the cheese, macaroni and cheese. You made a mac and cheese. If that mac and cheese is 60 times against your pot,
Yeah.
then
You could eat it.
now this is all also if it happened by accident. Like, oh my gosh, I forgot I used the meat pot,
Okay.
whatever. In the case of the parv, according to Sephardim, even if I did it on purpose,
So
But-
so you can so if
so you
it's
could eat it,
you could eat the mac and cheese.
right? But the pot, you got
The
to
pot-
kosher.
So was it you throw it out? After?
No, there's a way to kosher it, but
Yeah.
Would you put it in the
Stainless steel,
ground?
You can catch
Oh, you
it.
can
No.
do libun.
Boil the
you
water.
could libun or put it in
Or,
boiling
hagala.
water. Hagala.
Boil in water.
Okay.
Glass cup usually used with.
Glass, according to Sephardim,
I know, but
not
like I want to
absorbed.
go more
Ashkenazim?
stringent.
You're Sephardic, or I never heard of Ashkenaz in Turkish
like, no.
Ashkenaz over
Ah,
here.
there is, by the way, including my grandma.
With Ashkenaz, Turkish Ashkenaz.
They're from Russia. But
Wow, there's
anyways,
new things being revealed. You're on record over here, Nisi. You know that.
okay. A glass cup usually used for meat dinners. My daughter like drank milk in it without while I was sleeping. I don't want to throw the cup, but I don't want to use it either. How can I kosher it? And I know it's according to Sephardim, it's already kosher.
According to Ashkenazim, it's you can't kosher it because it's two extremes. According to Sephardim, it doesn't absorb anything. Glass doesn't absorb. Wash it out with soap and you're good.
Yeah.
According to Ashkenazim, it's like pottery. Pottery is the most absorbent. So once it absorbs, it's a meat, it's a milk, it's a meat, it's everything. So it's the most stringent.
I thought there was. I remember reading that glass you can kasher by soaking it in water for like 3 days. You keep for Passover people do that, where you soak it in a bathtub or in a tub,
3 days.
and you switch the water every day for 3 days. That technically kashers a glass cup.
Never heard of that one, but
Never heard that one?
what I did
Okay.
hear
I'll
of,
find the
what I did hear
source
of
for that.
If you're
is,
Sephardic, there's no problem.
yeah, Sephardic, you
I
don't do
know.
anything.
But for Passover, like
Even Passover, you don't have to.
you can use your regular glasses for Passover.
Yeah, provided you clean water soap.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can use your regular
Yeah, we have
glass
separate glasses.
stuff.
Passover.
But at glass,
Your wife
sorry,
might have a
glass.
heart attack, but she's
Yeah.
actually.
If I say she can do less work, she'll be
She'll be
happy.
happy.
Problem with ceramics. Ceramic.
Oh,
is
don't
throw
even
it
get
away,
me started,
ceramic.
ceramic. We
Yeah.
have so
I
many
throw
fights
away
on that.
ceramics when you kosher the
You have a
kitchen.
problem when you have a mixed marriage, like
Yeah,
one
sorry,
Ashkenazi,
yeah.
one Sephardi, like mine.
No, it's
I have
always,
cases.
I was a man.
it's a man's customs.
Yeah.
Always.
So
It's
If she listens.
easy. It's easy.
But you're right.
man's
The
custom,
ceramic.
woman's last word.
No, it's the man's custom. That's why we eat grains on rice on Passover, right?
Okay, so
Not
for
Moroccan,
example, in
but
my
yeah.
case,
No, my dad's Algerian.
in my case, what kind of sponge should I use? Like dairy or
Pour it down the sink. Pour it down the dairy sink.
Yeah.
Put it in cold water, and then put soap in the thing. And at that point, you can use whatever sponge.
Okay.
Probably the dairy one because you just had dairy in it.
and then like okay.
And then once soap kills it, especially on glass, because glass nothing goes in. Yeah.
But these are laws as applies to Nedarim, not necessarily. You can't
So-
really extrapolate laws of kashrut.
Right. So we're gonna talk about that because here what's saying is the guy says, I don't want to have any meat. I'm making a neder, no meat. Now Rabbi Tarfon says eggs cooked with meat is also barred, is also included in your neder.
Another
Right?
question.
Now-
if you say I don't want to eat like it's a nether, I don't want to eat halal anymore, drink halal anymore, can he eat cheese?
Energy. So it seems like no. It seems like yes, you could. Because it seems like it's two different things. And I'll throw the secret now in this whole Gemara, and we know the secret already. Is we go with the way people talk. The way people talk. Chalav means milk. Gvina is cheese. So guys, I don't have chalav, right? So we're going to talk about the way, and so why is Rabbi Yosef say it's asur? Because in that place they would call whey water from milk. Oh, you mentioned milk. When a guy says I don't want to have any milk, Rabbi Yossi says, oh, that includes whey. Why? Because kum, there was a kum de chalba. They would call kum in certain places just kum, it's whey. Some places they call kum chalba, water of milk. Oh, you mentioned milk, that's included.
That's
So
halavi,
that's-
right? That's halavi.
Chalavi.
Interesting.
Yeah,
If you say halavi, then you cannot eat anything. Like that.
anything chalavi. Yeah, anything dairy. Right? You say dairy, anything dairy. Now,
See, Perplexity agrees with me.
now what?
It says here,
Who's perplexity?
it's
an
one of the
AI.
AI apps.
Oh, you know.
However,
use that.
some lenient
Not more
opinions
than
allow
Nedarim.
capturing glass by soaking milui virui, filling the vessel with water for 24 hours, emptying it, and repeating this 3 times. This process takes 72 hours in total, with the water exchange each day.
What was your question to it? What
The
did you
question was, can you cash your glass by soaking?
ask? That's all you wrote? Can I
Yeah.
cash it?
That's the question.
Which app is it or which?
Perplexity.
What is that?
Perplexity.
It's one of the AI.
It's an AI, it's Google.
More than
ChatGPT.
Why
more
Google
than
that
Elohim
one?
of
Why
It's
use that?
free.
That's
I got it free from Bell because
That-
Bell gives everyone a free for a year to try. So Perplexity is like late to the game. So now they basically they've signed contracts with.
But ChatGPT is also free if you
Yeah.
go on.
Well, if you get this is the pro version, whatever. But yeah. But anyhow, so
There's Claude AI, which is even better.
yeah, Claude AI
Claude-
is another one. So I have Perplexity Pro, which is a little bit more advanced. So that's free. So Perplexity did a deal with, in most countries, with one telecom producer for every country, like India, U.S., whatever. Pick a country, and their subscribers get it for free for a year to try it. The telephone company gets gives you something for nothing, and they hope next year that you'll buy it and they'll get a fee.
Fee for it.
But you cannot rely on these things. You cannot rely on.
No, but they give you the reference. I'm just. We're here talking. I'm not saying
What's the
that.
reference?
Relax.
It says. Yeah, I'll look it up.
But if you use it to do your Torah studying, it counts as time. Right, Rabbi?
If it's Torah, if it's
Yeah. I said if it's
A
Torah.
lot of times there's mistakes.
Yeah.
Someone sent me something and he's like, Rabbi, you see it's like this, like this. And I said, okay, I want to see the sources inside. One source inside was actually talking about the laws of lulav, and I'm like, you're saying this talks about the laws of netel yadayim, talking about the laws of lulav. Like it was so off.
Yeah.
And sometimes I once checked it out, and I was looking for a source for something. I had it in my mind. I know it's here. I said, okay, you know what? Let's see if they know where it is. I said, this and this and this. Where in Masechet Sukkah is this source?
Right?
And I said, oh, it's right here. I go there, it's not there. I said, it's not there. Actually, you're right. It's not there. They're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like
Yeah,
look at me.
I get that a lot. I say, no, you're wrong. What about this, and that? Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, here's more information.
Yeah.
So you
And
have
then,
to
no,
understand.
you're
the
still
thing
wrong.
is-
You're missing. It's like who's
thing-
teaching who?
The thing is,
One,
the
question
AI is
one,
getting the
AI
source
rabbi,
from
please.
other websites.
Yeah,
If there is a
question.
lie in that website,
Correct.
It just
then
perpetuates.
Correct.
it-
So
it-
this
it
came
makes no
from
sense like that.
exploringjudaism.org. Rabbi Paul Drazen is the author. Is the
Well,
one
you
that's
consider
referenced.
reform rabbi.
And he references no, he's the rabbi, USCJ. What is USCJ? Staff rabbi there.
C stands for conservative.
Anyhow, whatever. I just see
least
it. I
you-
saw
at
it. I saw it. It was a quick one. Anyhow, we digress. Baseball game is coming. Yalla, move on.
Okay. These are like that. Okay.
This
So-
is unusual.
Is this being recorded?
Yeah,
Is this being recorded today?
Yeah,
Oh, come on, come
we're
on.
on record. We're on record today. Ezra and Zev are not here. They need to.
Yeah, right. Because they're at
Ezra and
the
Zev, you're missing a
They're
good one
saying-
today.
We missed
There
a
you're
nice
missing
class.
a lot.
The rabbi is really
And this is
busy
without
tonight.
drinks. And this is without drinks or food.
There
Right?
you
So
go.
But you missed all the good jokes before.
yeah, before we put on the
Remind me
recording,
after-
we're waiting
yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's keep
so Rav Yehuda says asur, And his backup is from Rav Tarfon that says that even the eggs cooked with the meat, when you said I don't want to eat meat anymore, it includes even these eggs. Okay. Amrulo, they told him, Kena davar, it is so, but ematai, when bizman shiomar basar ze alai, when a person says basar ze alai, this meat I don't want to have it anymore. Shanoder min hadavar v'nitarev be'acher im yesh bo benoten tam asur. So this is the side from review Def and Rabbi Tarfon. If a person says a neder, and it got mixed with other things. If it gives taste to that thing, it's included and it's asur. So that's these eggs that got taste from the meat. It's asur, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so if you see, you could obviously see here. There's a very massive run over here. We're not going to go through it, but I'll tell you the gist of it. And we spoke about the laws of noten tam, which is jump into that now again for this question. So I said before how there's the famous rule of bitul b'shishim, batel b'shishim, 60 times. So if you have your dafina and it always has to be accidentally. Accidentally, milk drips into the dafina. Let's say your kid has a baby bottle, and some milk spills in accidentally. Now I have 60 times against that Jules drops the milk. Right. It's still kosher, provided I don't see the milk anymore. Let's say you take out the milk. You take a napkin, you press on the milk, you take the milk out. Right? Okay, or it got absorbed in. But even if you take it out, it's still in there. Still got in there. If I have 60 times against it, it's kosher. Okay, that's called the cause of batel. Batel b'shishim, 60 against it. Now, so we're saying over here that the eggs absorb taste from the meat, and therefore it's included in the isur. Now, what if it didn't absorb taste, but it was cooked with meat, but it just didn't absorb taste? Let's say there were 60 eggs. Let's say there's 100 eggs in this pot boiling, and a small piece of meat fell in. So the meat doesn't absorb taste in all those 100 eggs because the 100 eggs overpowered it. So you would say it didn't absorb taste. It's kosher.
No, it's 60 for the eggs this time.
Yeah, exactly. 60 for the eggs this time, right? So you'd say that it didn't absorb the taste of the meat, and it's all non-meat eggs. Understood. Now, but we're still relying on bitul. We're relying on the fact that there's more than 60 against the meat, and as if the meat doesn't exist. The concept of bitul only works, as the Ran's question. The concept of bitul only works when what's called davar she'en bo matirim, something that doesn't have an out, something that's going to be allowed. But davar,
pig, for example, if there's a pig inside, a smaller chunk of it.
No, so we'll explain. But davar sheyesh lo matirim, something that will be allowed one day, you don't rely on bitul in general. For instance, let's say chametz on Pesach. Let's say I have a kosher for Pesach dafina. Now a piece of chametz comes in. Kosher for Pesach dafina. I have no meat, no wheat in there, whatever. Kosher for Pesach, potatoes, meat, whatever. Now a piece of chametz falls in. A piece of chametz falls in, even if there's 1,000 times, 10,000 times the amount, it's asur on Pesach. One of the reasons is because after Pesach, this food's going to be allowed. It's going to be kosher because it's not Pesach anymore, and it's all kosher ingredients. So that's called davar sheyesh lo matirim, something that will become allowed one day. Something that will become allowed one day, we don't rely on bitul. We don't rely on, there's 60 times against it, so as if nothing happened. We only rely on that when it's, let's say, a case of meat and milk. Meat and milk will never become allowed. Pig in dafina will never become allowed. So, therefore, we have to rely on the 60 to 1. But if something will become allowed one day, or could become allowed one day, or another example is something that's nolad on Shabbat, or nolad on Yom Tov. Let's say a chicken gives birth, lays an egg on Shabbat. That egg is muktzeh because it didn't come to the world yet. So I didn't have it in mind, didn't come to the world yet, and now it gets mixed up with 1,000 eggs. 1,000 to 1. All those 1,000 you cannot use on Shabbat, Because why? Because after Shabbat it's going to all be allowed. So we don't rely on the leniency because tomorrow it's going to be allowed. Asks the Ran an amazing question. He says, okay, so if I have meat, I say, I'm asur to have meat. If I have eggs that absorb from that meat, also asur, says Yehuda. And it sounds like eggs that didn't absorb from that meat, let's say I have 100 eggs against that little piece of meat, those are going to be allowed. Says the Ran, why is it allowed? This is something that could be allowed tomorrow. How could it be allowed tomorrow? If I undo my neder. I do Atana Nedarim. I go to the 3 rabbis. I undo the neder. Now this whole thing's allowed. So why should we ever rely on bitul? And he answers that okay. So he answers a thing. He says in the laws of bitul in general, he says the reason when something that's going to be allowed tomorrow, let's say after Pesach or after a neder, we don't do it. We don't allow it. That's what's called min b'mino. That's if everything is the same item. So wheat falls into, but if it's a different item, then even if it's going to be allowed tomorrow, we do rely on the bitul. So even if there's a piece of wheat that falls into dafina, it's 2 different items that we would rely on. Or here, meat and eggs, 2 different items, we would rely on it. But let's say it's egg and eggs, like I said, the case of, let's say on Shabbat or Yom Tov, egg and eggs, then we don't until the next day. So then the Reef argues on that, and then the Ran goes like the length to battle against the Reef's opinion. That's basically what's going on. But it's a nice question with regards to the laws of bitul, davar sheyesh l'matiri and davar she'en l'matiri. Okay, so that's the Ran in real short. 3 lines up on the bottom. Hanoder min hayayin. A person says, I don't want to have any more wine. Mutar b'tavshil sheyesh bo tam yayin. He's allowed to have a food that has wine mixed in, or a taste of wine in it. Because when a person says wine, he means wine, as a drink of wine, not a food that also has some wine, vinaigrette, wine vinaigrette in there, whatever.
But isn't it linked to the wine? It's like the meat thing. So why is there a distinction for wine and not for meat?
So the meat, we said that at the end of the day, according to the Tanakama, no, the little strands and the liquid is different than the meat. The guy says, I don't want to have any more meat. He's allowed to have the strands and allowed to have the liquid, according to the Tanakama, not according to Rabbi Yehuda. So the wine is in line with that.
One says yes, one says
One
no.
says no. So the general is Rabbi Yehuda, who says no. Here he's not arguing. You're right. Why is he not arguing over here as well? That's a question. Why is he not arguing on the case of the wine?
You didn't ask him?
There is an explanation. The small pieces of meat taste like meat.
You asked if we could do video.
Oh, video.
Want me to text them to you?
Someone want to put on a video because I'm on recording.
Video on.
The small pieces of meat taste like meat, but it's still meat, so you cannot have it. But if you put wine in the food, you don't get there is a taste, but it's not like
it's not
wine.
actual
so
wine.
You already lost it, and alcohol is gone.
So the
Also,
thing is that
Interesting, though, because during the 9 days of Tisha B'Av, you can't do this.
you can't have meat,
Even though you
taste of meat.
You can't have the gravy, and you can't have the shreds, and you can't have vinaigrette with wine. It says, he's a Nazir. He can't do any of. He can't have the taste of wine, right? He can't have.
Right. Yeah.
It's
So
very-
Nazir is more strict than the 90s. 90s is minhag.
Right,
and
but I'm
then-
saying the
yeah.
neder seems like you would think a neder is pretty serious.
Right.
But
and
being
yet
a Nazir
there's
is
a lot
another.
of room for leniency here.
Yeah, but I think we're going to see as we mentioned,
right.
it's all lashon b'nei adam. What people
Right.
say when a guy says, "I don't want to have any more wine," that you mean wine, you mean the drink of wine, not a taste.
Sorry, that's me.
Lot going on over here. Okay. So now 2 lines up from the bottom. Amar kunam yain ze shani toem. So now the person is more specific. I'm making a kunam on this wine that I'm not drinking it, I'm not tasting it. V'nafal tavshil im yesh bo benoten tam hariz asur. Then it falls into a food, and now that food has noten tam. It has the taste of that wine. Then it's going to be asur. Again, a person says, "I don't want to have this wine." So this wine for sure, as is, you can't have. This one falls into food, you also can't have, provided it still tastes like it. Meaning if it lost its taste, because there's 60 to 1, then you could have it. And you can imagine wine falling into a pool of water, right? After a certain amount of time, it's all water. It dilutes, right? So the 60-1, that's what the Chachamim tell us. There's the diluting there. It's like not there anymore. Okay. Gemara, next page. Ur minhu. We have a contradiction. Contradiction goes like this. We're going to learn this later on, but the Gemara says the person has mina adashim. The person says, I don't want to have any more lentils. Asur ba'ashishim. He's asur also to have ashishim. The Ran tells us ashishim is honey, like lentils mixed with honey. The person says, I don't want any lentils. He's allowed to have lentils mixed with honey. Sorry, he's asur in lentils mixed with honey. That's asur and that's asur. Rabbi Yossi matir. Rabbi Yossi says it's allowed. Now the question is on Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi, hold on a second. You're telling me the guy says, I don't want lentils. You allow him to have honey lentils? But over here, the guy says, no meat. You say, oh, that also includes no sauce and no strands of meat. What's going on? That's a contradiction.
Yeah.
So the Gemara says, look, that's another question. Marki atre, and this is what I mentioned before. Marki atre, umarki atre. This one according to the city he lived in, and this one according to the city he lived in. Be'atra de Rabbanan, in the city of the rabbis, the general Tanakama, karu lechalba chalva or lekuma kuma. They called milk milk, and they called kuma kuma. They called whey. Be'atra de Rav Yossi, in the city of Rav Yossi, lekuma nami karu le kuma de chalva. Whey was also called whey for milk. So they mentioned milk in this one. The guy says, I don't want any milk. That's included as well. And therefore, back to this, when Rav Yossi says it's allowed, because when they said adashim is lentils. When a person said ashishim is honey lentils. When a person says, I don't want to have adashim anymore, I don't have lentils anymore, there was a total different word for honey lentils, which was ashishim. So he says, I don't want to have adashim anymore. Everyone understood adashim meant just regular lentils, like lentil soup, lentil stuff. You didn't say ashishim. Ashishim is okay. There's lentils mixed with honey. That's a special dish that you would be allowed to have. It all goes with the way of the talking.
So
in the
lentils by themselves is no good, but lentil soup is okay? Is that what you just said?
No. I said lentil honey is okay. Well, guys, I don't want to have lentils.
But you can put lentils in
are-
anything, in salads and stuff like that.
So the difference is because when it was with this honey, it was a special name. It became something else. See, when in English, I'm saying lentils and lentils with honey. In Hebrew, adashim, ashishim.
Okay.
Adashim means lentils. Lentils used for whatever you want.
So it's because there's a separate name
Exactly.
for specifically lentil and honey.
Exactly. For that item,
But
and also
but
the
you
way
say
is
no,
different.
If you say no lentil, you can't have a lentil soup or lentil in a salad or
Exactly.
lentils by
Everyone,
lentils.
exactly. Because it seems like, except for this lentil with honey thing, every other lentil with everything else was called
So you
lentils.
need to really understand the Hebrew.
The Hebrew language or the language of
So
this
I'm
is
exempt from all this.
So the laws, no, it goes to the laws of neders is for any, like in Canada, we call, I don't know, maple syrup. You call, I don't have any maple or maple syrup. Like, I was trying to think of where
Football, you call football soccer.
football's are, yeah. So like, yeah, exactly. Call things different things. In Canada, if I say, I don't want to play football anymore, and then I go and play soccer, say, hey, you're violating a neder. What are you talking about? I'm playing soccer. Oh, because we call soccer here soccer, not football. It's not a violation of the neder. A very good example. So it goes with the Lashon Ben Adam, and we've seen that before, and this is another proof to that. 5 lines down. Tanya, a Braita. And this Braita is going to help when we kind of put together what we just learned. Hanoder min hachalav mutar bekum. The person says, I don't want milk. He's allowed to have whey. Minakum mutar bechalav. He says, no more whey. He's allowed to have milk. Minachalav mutar begvina. This is your question before, and you've seen. He says, I don't want to have milk. He's allowed to have cheese. Minagvina mutar bechalav. He says, I don't want to have cheese. He's allowed to have milk. Minarotev mutar bekipa. He says, I don't want to have any more sauce from meat dishes. He's allowed to have little strands of meat. Mina kippah. He says, I don't want to have those strands anymore. I pick at those little strands. I eat those strands all day. Mutar. He's allowed to have the rotiv. He's allowed to have the sauce. Imamar basar ze alai. I said, I don't want to have this meat. This meat. Asur bo uberotvo ubekipo. He can't have anything from that meat, including its sauce, including those little strands. Hanodem min hayayin. First says, I don't want to have wine. He's allowed to have food that has wine in it. Because when he says wine, he means the drink of wine. Amar kunam yain zeh sheni tohen. The person says, I don't want to have this wine. And it falls into a food, if it has the taste of that wine, it's asur. If it doesn't have the taste anymore, meaning the taste got dissipated because it fell into a bigger vat or whatever, it doesn't have the taste anymore, then he's allowed to have it.
Also, can we say, if he says, like, I don't want this wine, he can have any other bottle of wine.
Yeah, any other bottle of wine, exactly. Next Mishnah. Hanoder mina anavim. Person says, I don't want to have any grapes. Mutar beyayin is allowed to have wine. It's two different things. Mina zetin, I don't want to have any olives. He was not Moroccan, that's for sure. I don't want to have any olives. Mutar b'shemen, he's allowed to have oil. Amar kunam zetim.
So you can have
anavim.
You can't have what you want, but if there's a
alternative,
not an
with a different
alternative,
name.
if it can convert into something else, then you can have that something else.
What's a different name to it? It seems like a different name. Yeah. So grapes, wine, olives, oil. Now, if maybe you say we call it olive oil, shemen zayit. I don't know. So if this guy says zetim, maybe if it's
olive oil, it goes back to like lentil honey.
Yeah, but the truth is, he says olives. What says? I don't have olives. Is olive oil included?
But if you say these
olives.
olives,
Accordingly,
these olives, right? Yeah.
According to this explanation,
then
it should
maybe
be
it should
olive
be
oil
included.
also be included.
Because he said the word olive in there. So now, next, that last part of the Mishnah. Amar kunam zetim ve'anavim elu she'eni tohem. A person says, these olives and grapes I'm not having. Asur ba'en ubayotze ba'en. It's asur to have them and anything that comes out of them. Because I said, these olives, these grapes, anything that comes out of them is also asur. Says the Gemara, a question on the wording of the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Bai Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama has a question. Elu davka or she'eni to'em davka? What is the specific thing over here that makes it asur on these things? So if you look back in the last we just read in the Mishnah, a guy says, I don't want to have zetim vanavim elu she'eni to'em. I don't want to have these that I'm not going to taste. Well, when you said these, that's what you meant. So what is the thing over here that says that now that these are asur, any derivative of it is asur also? Is it because you said elu, or is it because you said eini toem? That's the Gemara's question. Elu davka or she'eni toem davka? Says the Gemara. Isal kadatach elu davka she'eni toem lamali. If you want to say that elu is davka, these ones, that's what makes it asur, then why do I need any toem for? So why do I need to say it in the first place? Why do I need any toem? So says the Gemara, Hakamash when it comes to teach us. The afagav the amar she'eni toem, even though I said I'm not going to taste it, ida amar elu mitzar ve'ilo lo. So the Gemara is saying like this. The Gemara is saying, when a guy says, I don't want to have these that I'm not going to taste. So what's the main thing? I don't want to have these, or that I don't want to taste, or is it both? Or do I need to say both in order to really make it that any derivative of this is going to be asur? So the Gemara says, first wants to say, elu is the main thing, these. So why do I need that I don't taste it? Because the Gemara is saying, even if you say, I don't want to taste this, elu, it's going to be still fair game. But once you said elu, these ones, then these are asur, and others are not, and the derivative of these is going to be asur. Amar Rava, says Rava. Now he's trying to bring a proof to one side. Tashma, kunam perot ha'elu alai. I'm making an oath. These fruits are going to be asur. Kunam hen lefi. It's a oath to my lips. Asur bechilufehen ubegidulahen. It's asur to have any switching of them. And we said before, let's say you take these fruits and you switch it for a wallet, you switch it for a watch. You can't have even that. Or begidulahen, anything that grows from these fruits. Ha beyotze mehen mutar. But you could derive from here anything that comes out of them is allowed. The person again says, I don't want to have these fruits. So a person said, ha'elu, these fruits I don't want to have. So we said, these fruits includes what grows from it and includes what I traded them for. Even though I'm talking about a watch now, that's included because you just traded the fruit for it. But it excludes anything that comes from it, any juices from it. So maybe the juice is allowed. So the Gemara says, so you see, elu is not the main word. I need eni toem. That's the main word. Says the Gemara, hu adin dafilu b'yotzemen asur. The Gemara says, no, you're misunderstanding. Of course, anything that comes out of it is going to be asur. The chidush over here is the chilufehen, meaning like this. We had a braita that says these fruits are asur on me, and then the braita says, you know what these fruits means? Even if I switch it for a watch, or even if anything grows from these fruits, that's also going to be asur. So going to say, oh, do you see any derivative of that actual fruit, like the juice, it's going to be allowed? No, don't think that way. The juice for sure is not going to be allowed.
Because it's in the fruit.
It's in the fruit, or any derivative of it. It's for sure not going to be allowed. But you know what the chidush of this whole thing was? That even if I switch it for something, that's also not going to be. That's the main chidush over here. That's the main novelty over here. That even if I switch it for something, that's not going to be allowed. Like I switch it for a watch.
Do we have a case like that before? That we switch it to the item? And
No, it says even if one were to do this, so a person says, I don't want to have this, and you switch it, then that's also going to be a
By the way, if you plan to switch your watch with
for grapes, to let you know.
I have some grapes at home.
You know what? If you bring me $10,000 worth of grapes, then okay. Says the Gemara. Tashma she'eni och. So now we still don't have an answer. What's the
But
main thing here? Is the elu or is it the eni toem? Yeah.
so just this point about the swapping, right? Is it a question of the form of nedu that he does? If he says, I don't want to benefit from the grapes, then I can understand the swapping of the grapes for the watch, not like that being caught. But if he says, I don't want to eat the grapes, he's not eating the grapes, he's using it to get something else. Is that caught? That shouldn't be caught.
That's a good point. And looking back, the wording says kunam perot ha'elu. Like it seems like it's like a hana. It seems like it's a benefit. It's like I'm not like I'm
So it's
kunam. It's on these things.
Everything.
This thing is cherem to me. This thing is a kunam. This thing's asur to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good point.
So this versus these.
This versus that I taste. She'eni toem.
It's
Here,
consuming versus benefiting from. That was my question.
that's at this point. Yeah.
That's the question I
She'eni
asked.
toem. So now we're trying to bring another proof to, again, what's the main word? Is it these or is it that I don't taste? And now we're bringing the following. Tashma. About 2/3 down. She'eni to ochel. V'she'eni toem. I'm not going to eat this item and I'm not going to taste it. Mutar bechilufenu begidulehem. Ayotze mehen asur. The Gemara says from the Braita, if I switch it or anything that grows from it is allowed. And this is your point now, because now I'm saying I don't want to taste these. Oh, I switch it for a watch. You're allowed to have it. You something that grows from it, you're allowed. Hayotze mehem asur. Something that comes from it is asur. So we're learning from over here maybe that the main words is eni toem and not elu, not these. Maybe it's the eni toem. Says the Gemara, Aidi de lo nasif beresha yotze mehen lo nasif nami beseifa yotze mehen. Gemara is bringing a technical answer, and the answer is that no, you can't compare the two because we didn't say yotze mehen in the beginning of the Braita, and we're not saying it, therefore we're conforming to the beginning of the Resha, and we're not saying it in the Seifa either. So yotze, you can't derive yotze men. What comes out of them from these cases? Because we didn't say it in the Resha, we're not saying it in the Seifa. You can't derive from either, and therefore our question still remains: what's the main thing? Is it elu or is it eni toem? Now the Gemara continues, and now let's see. We're going to get closer to our answer. Tashma, Amar Rav Yehuda. First one on the line is Amar. 8 lines up from the bottom. Amar Rav Yehuda. Maaser. Remember, Rav Yehuda gave us a story. Ve'asar Rabbi Tarfon alai betzim shnit bashlu imo. And Rabbi Tarfon said that the eggs that were cooked with that meat is going to also be asur. When the guy says, I don't have any meat, the eggs that were cooked with it, that have a taste from it, is also asur. Amrulo, ematai, when is it asur? Bizman shemar basar ze alai. When the guy says, this meat. Shanoder min hadavar v'nitarev be'acher. If you make a promise on something, it got mixed with something else, like it got mixed with eggs, and it gives off that taste, asur. It's asur. I see clearly from here, this case talking about this meat. And we're saying this meat, according to Rabbi Tarfon, he did a story. He ruled that way. The value of a story in a Mishnah or Gemara is you see a rabbi actually ruled that way. It's not like it's not in concept, it's actually in practical. Rabbi Yehuda says, you know why I go that way? Is because there was a story, and Rabbi Tarfon actually said it's asur on us. That a guy says, I don't want to have any meat. Hey buddy, you can't even have the eggs that has a taste from that meat. So, but dissecting the case was this meat. This meat. Oh, this meat? That means any derivative of this meat, including the taste in the eggs. So we see from over here a proof that this, ze, or elu is going to be anything derived from it is going to be asur. And that's what the Gemara says, be'elu, 6 lines from the bottom, be'elu lo kameba'ilan. The Gemara says, you know what, you're right. These ones, that's not our question. The davka, because that's davka. And when a guy says, I don't want to have this meat, it means any derivative of that meat is going to be asur. That is not a question. Ki meba'ilan, when do we ask a question? B'she'eni to'em, davka or lav davka? A question is when a guy says, I don't want to taste this. So is it specifically this and including derivative of it or not including derivative of it? Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. If you say this, is it just this meat, and next week you bring me the same type of meat?
No, it's exactly that piece. That's
that piece that's right that
exactly,
I see.
Exactly.
If it
that exact piece.
If it's
When you say
in
this,
general
it's this
speech
exact
of
piece,
the town,
okay.
so it's like when I show like a piece of specific steak, this specific cut does maybe like people understand that. Oh, I don't want to eat
you have
this
to
like
see-
lamb chop.
You gotta use the
Oh,
word
I'm never
this.
gonna eat
If you say I don't want to have
lamb chop.
meat,
No, but if I don't want meat, or I don't want to have meat like this piece of meat, then you included other meats. But if I say I don't want to have this meat,
Whatever it is.
okay,
then any derivative
or this type of meat, then it's all this.
that's
type
all the
of-
types, right?
Yeah, yeah, okay.
When
I just
say
wanna make
this
sure I
meat,
understand.
Yeah, so this meat, it's that exact piece. So now it's saying, okay, what if I say I don't want to taste this meat? So I don't want to taste this meat. Is that specific, or is it more general where I can't derive any derivative of it is okay? I mean, when I say this meat is asur on me, any derivative of it is asur on me. This meat is asur on me. If I say I don't want to taste this, so maybe it's just the taste of this, but a taste of a taste, maybe that is allowed. And that's what the Gemara brings a proof. 4 lines from the bottom. Tashma, come in here. We had this case before. Dag dagim she'eni to'em. Guy says, I don't want to eat fish and fish plural. Dag dagim. So what is included in this? Asur ben bahen. He's asur in these fish. Ben gdolim, ben ktanim. Beat if they're big fish, small fish. Ben chaim, ben mevushlim. Beat if they're raw fish, beat if they're cooked fish. Umutar betarit trufa ubatzir. But you are allowed to have small pieces of fish that's beat or the brine of the fish, because it says this fish I don't have, but the brine of it, the oil of it, you are allowed to have.
What about the eggs?
So 1 second. So you see, this because you said any to'em. The case of the eggs was, or the case of the Rabbi Tarfon was ze basar ze. Here's any to'em, but Rava says Amar Rava ukvar yatsa mehen. Rava says no, you can't bring a proof to that. Because in this case, Rava says that the case was that the oil of the fish was already extracted from the fish. I had this fish, then I took the oil out of this fish, so I have fish and its oil, and then I said, I don't want to taste this fish. Well, you're allowed to taste the oil.
It's like a jar of
Because
herring.
it's already out.
Like if a jar of herring, you say, I'm not having this herring, you could still eat whatever else is in the jar.
But he didn't say
Yeah.
this. You know.
No, you listen to this. Any to'em. I'm not tasting. I'm not tasting. And in English, the word this. I'm not tasting this thing. But so says Rava, So we wanted to say, oh, maybe that's a proof. This you're not tasting, but any derivative that you could taste. So Rava says, well, it's not such a proof because the case could have been there that I already extracted the oil, and I have fish, and it's oil, and it's brine, and then I said, I don't want to taste this. So there is, okay, fine, that you can taste, but this you can't taste, this you could taste. Well, yeah, I can assume that because it was already extracted. So Rava says, on that, it's no answer. So the Ran, just ending up, the bottom line, inyan halacha. If it comes to the law of halacha, what's the halacha in this whole thing? Be'elu, if I say these ones, this piece of meat, pshita, it's obvious that davka hu asur beyotze bayin, and anything that comes out of it. So if I say this meat is asur on me, any derivative of this meat is asur. But what if I say she'eni to'em? If I say I don't want to taste this, so is it? I don't want to taste. What else is included in this? What's not included? Mesafkalan. So at the end of the day, it ends up with a safek. Veloiv shita bayan, and the question was not answered. But kevan deloiv shita mashma denaktin on chumra. But since it's not answered, we go stringent. And if we go stringent, that means also any derivative of it is going to be asur, and that's the way the Ran rules. So if I say this, everyone agrees, hands down. Anything that comes out of this thing, anything is asur. If I say, I don't want to taste this thing. Well, of a derivative of it, it's not its taste, it's something a derivative, we still rule stringent. Chazak u'baruch. And then we'll be back to Sunday morning, Be'ezrat Hashem, Sundays and Mondays.
Sunday morning.
Be'ezrat Hashem.